The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Today is Monday, December 19th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining me. Later today, the House Committee on the January 6th insurrection will be offering its final report, and that report will finalize or conclude their 18-month-long investigation into Donald Trump's role in the insurrection. The insurrection, generally speaking, what happened, who was involved, who were the key players, but their focus primarily and preeminently has been on Donald Trump. They are expected, according to Adam Schiff from the House of Representatives, Representative Schiff is expecting that the committee, which is comprised of mostly Democrats and some Republicans like Liz Cheney, this committee will recommend that the Department of Justice bring up charges on Donald Trump. Now, the referrals to the Department of Justice for prosecution will not only include Donald Trump. There are other people involved. But we know the primary focus has been on the former president's role in inciting an insurrection. These charges that they are going to be referring to the Department of Justice include conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstruction of an official congressional proceeding, as well as inciting insurrection. I want to take a listen to a clip from California Representative Adam Schiff as he describes the potential outcome of today's final hearing of the January 6th committee.
I think that the evidence is there that Donald Trump committed criminal offenses in connection with his efforts to overturn the election. And viewing it as a former prosecutor, I think there's sufficient evidence to charge the president.
To get a conviction now?
Well, I don't know what the Justice Department has. I do know what's in the public record. The evidence seems pretty plain to me. But I would want to see the full body of evidence if I were in the prosecutor's shoes to make a decision. But, this is someone who, in multiple ways, tried to pressure state officials to find votes that didn't exist. This is someone who tried to interfere with a joint session, even inciting a mob to attack the Capitol. If that's not criminal, then I don't know what is.
If that's not criminal, then I don't know what is. Well said, Representative Schiff. However, I do have a slight issue, and maybe I'm parsing something that doesn't need to be parsed, but you all feel free to tell me in the comment section. I feel that the overwhelming focus on Donald Trump, both by the Democratic Party in general and by the American government, the House, the Department of Justice, I feel like it is doing two things. One, it is bringing proper attention to the threat that Donald Trump uniquely posed and continues to pose to this country. But I think it fixates on him so much, and it doesn't spread the net wide enough or deep enough into the real power players who are actively today trying to overthrow democracy with or without Donald Trump. Now, I look forward to the hearings. I probably will watch as much of it as I can stomach. And I think that this committee was necessary and good. And I feel like it is an appropriate response to what happened on January 6th. But you can't address the boil that's on top of your skin without actually looking what's going on underneath, causing this to fester. January 6th was not the culmination. It was the beginning. Donald Trump is not the leader of this insurrection, of this attempt to overthrow democracy. He was just the titular head, the figurehead. Donald Trump is being cut out of the Republican Party right now as we speak. And yet and still, the attempt to overthrow this government, this democracy, is in full force. And so unless Congress is going to actually look into what is, and I guess Congress obviously wouldn't do it. Let me pause mid-thought and say this. Because of the political nature of Congress, it is a political creature. They are not going to do what is necessary unless it is politically expedient. Prosecuting or investigating Donald Trump is both necessary and politically expedient. But looking to the theocratic fascists, the Christian nationalists who have organized power and wealth and the desire, along with the strategy, to overthrow this democracy is necessary, but it's not politically expedient because, well, Democrats and even the Republican Party, those that don't like these theocratic fascists, I mean, all the way back to Barry Goldwater. You think about one of his comments, and I think I'll try to find that clip, but Barry Goldwater, a staunch conservative, wrote the book Conscience of a Conservative back in the, I think, late 60s, early 70s. Even he decried the sickness that was infecting the conservative movement back then coming from theocratic fascists. Now, he called them just evangelicals, right? But at the end of the day, we understand that there is a determined movement in this country to turn America into Gilead off of Handmaid's Tale. They are serious about it. They have the means, they have the strategy, and they have the desire. And that we have spent the last 2 years focusing solely on January 6th, which is worse, focusing so much on Donald Trump, leads me to believe that there's just a big, wide open, gaping hole of vulnerability that has been papered over by us fixating over Donald Trump. Now, maybe I'm just too laser-like focused on these religious zealots who are gathering by the millions. Maybe I'm just too concerned about that, and I could be looking at it, not properly. So in the comment section, I want to know, do you feel like January 6th, this committee, the congressional committee, is sufficient? What they are doing, do you believe that what they are doing is sufficient to stave off the overthrow of democracy? Because in a lot of ways, it's going to give the people, especially some well-meaning liberals and what we like to call normies, it's going to make them feel as if they've done their job to protect democracy. All the while, over the last 2 years, every player that was behind the scenes on January 6th, not just Donald Trump. I mean, where are the charges against Charlie Kirk? He sent 80 buses up there to the insurrection. Like, there's nobody else. And then he's actively right now. I always cut myself off in mid-sentence. He is actively right now organizing with these religious zealots. So even January 6th, it feels like the investigation into January 6th is insufficient. But I am confident. I am absolutely confident that the real threat to this country hasn't even been addressed yet. We are faced in the United States of America with a multifaceted threat. You have those power-hungry people who have no regard or respect whatsoever for democracy, like Kari Lake. She's just one. She's the figurehead. We could utilize her, but she's not the only one, who refuse to accept the results of any election that doesn't go in their favor. Now, this goes well beyond being a spoiled sport, a sore loser. It goes into overthrowing our democracy. Take a listen to Kari Lake as she spoke at Charlie Kirk's event, right? American First Turning Point USA over the weekend. And before you have to see, you really have to see how these events are like mega shows. I mean, with the smokes, with the pyrotechnics, with the flashing lights, the big screen, and all. It's really a sight to see. This is all brought to you by Charlie Kirk and his sponsors, the same people who helped get 80 buses to the insurrection. Listen to Kari Lake as she took to the stage this weekend, discussing how she identifies, specifically as it pertains to her losing her race for governor in Arizona.
But on November 8th, they committed highway robbery. Highway robbery on November 8th. Our movement is so powerful that they had to sabotage Election Day operations. They had to steal our vote in broad daylight. I know that right now we can identify as anything we want to identify as, but I want you to know
Gotta get a trans joke in there, don't you?
I identify as a proud election-denying deplorable. Are you with me?
Please clap. It's pretty sad, actually.
pronouns are I won.
Wow. Kind of sad, actually. But nevertheless, this is the brand. This is just one front, right? The election deniers, those who see a route to power by using the echo chamber of the Republican Party, from Fox News down to Elon Musk's Twitter, using that apparatus to try to get critical mass. And again, what critical mass means in this context is that they're trying to get enough people to believe their lies, to be able to force pressure on the system enough to capitulate. That's critical mass. They honestly believe that they can stir their supporters up, which they can, right? They can absolutely stir their supporters up to do anything. They stirred them up to go to January 6th. They stir them up to do these mass shootings that we see all the time. So it's possible that they could actually hit critical mass, especially if you have people in power who are either one, complicit with them. Thank goodness Maricopa County had a set of Republicans who were serving on their board of elections that did not play this game. They had enough integrity, and this is not, I'm not making them heroes. The last thing we should do is make a hero out of any Republican who's gone along this far. But at least they jumped off this train to fascismville right here at this point in Maricopa County. They said, we're not doing this. They wanted to be professionals. That's one facet that is still alive and well, whether or not January 6th, the committee gets Donald Trump prosecuted. I hope he gets prosecuted. Send his butt to jail. But it's not over there, because not only do you have the Kari Lake election deniers, that is just sickness. It is like it's a pandemic in itself. But you have the religious zealots who are committed to overtaking the United States of America on behalf of their Lord and Savior, white Republican Jesus Christ. Now, this is perhaps the largest contingency, second only to the white supremacists, those Republicans, those conservatives in this country who are committed to overthrowing this democracy because they absolutely lost their minds and cannot imagine being in a democracy where black people are treated equal, where minorities are treated equal and have equal. They really cannot fathom a true meritocracy or a true democracy, right? And there's overlap between all three of these Venn diagrams, obviously. But these three distinct factions, you have the election denying Republican rank and file who understand that they can use this in order to gain power, use election denialism. And then you have the religious zealots who are committed to their white savior, Jesus Christ, not the real Jesus, but their poorly contrived, gun-toting, healthcare denying Caucasian Jesus from the Caucasus Mountains, right? They're committed to overthrowing America in order to install a theocratic fascist state. And then, of course, you have the white supremacists, the Nazis, the Nick Fuenteses of the world. So forgive me, I am going to listen to this, to the final hearing of the January 6th committee. I will listen to it, and I will report on it more tomorrow. But I just feel like it is woefully insufficient considering the multifaceted threat that our democracy is under. And I feel, as with so many other things, it is the media. It's expedient for the media. It is expedient for politicians, particularly liberals, and specifically those liberals who really need a boogeyman so that they don't have to talk about anything else that's important. I just honestly believe that by them fixating so much on Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone, they are giving the necessary cover for these multifaceted threats to metastasize and to eventually come into a fever pitch point of no return. So allegedly, Elon Musk is stepping down as the CEO of Twitter. I want you to parse the difference between him stepping down as CEO and still being the owner. And he's doing so as a result of a poll, ostensibly, right? I don't think this is why he's doing it. I think he's using the poll on Twitter as an excuse to cover his butt to give him an easy out. But yesterday, Elon Musk ran a poll on Twitter asking if he should remain as the CEO of Twitter. I don't know if he expected everyone to say, yes, please remain. But here are the results. This is what he asked. He said, should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide by the results of this poll. 17,502,391 individuals that we don't know what percentage of them are real, considering how many Twitter bots follow Elon Musk. But 17 million people, 17.5 million people voted, and 57% said, yes, you should step down as the CEO of Twitter. And 43% said no. Surprising considering how many individuals, how tilted Elon Musk's audience is, right? Let's not, he's popular amongst the incels. He's popular amongst the fascists. He's popular amongst the Nazis and the conservatives. He's got quite a bit of following who are dedicated to him even unto death. I mean, when he posted this Twitter poll, I mean, everyone from Jordan Peterson down to the Quakening, for those of you who probably don't even know what that is, but it's besides the point. Like, they all lost their minds. They all went into a tirade like, no, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen if you step down as the CEO of Twitter. Why would it? Why would it bother one particular side of the political conversation so much for Elon Musk to step down as CEO? Obviously, because he brought in his full weight of his $44 billion investment to help promote them. Now, this is why I think it's important for us to slow down and not get excited about this, because there's a couple of possibilities. One that I don't even think is a possibility. I'm confident he's going to remain as the primary shareholder and owner and the primary decision maker, no matter who he picks as CEO. He'll probably, if they create a board, he'll be the chairman of the board. You know, I definitely could see in that scenario, they'll probably create a new board and Elon Musk will serve as the chairman of the board. So whatever he wants will still go. So it's not really a reason to celebrate. It's just a reason for him to cover his butt. You know, he can step down and say that he was just following the voice of the people. And then two, who is he going to put in? Rumors. And these are pure Twitter rumors, because yesterday we saw Elon Musk chilling with Jared Kushner and a delegation from Saudi Arabia at the final game of the World Cup. And speculations are spreading that the new CEO could be someone like Jared Kushner. Fact of the matter is, we should expect whoever the CEO is going to be will be just another henchman for Elon Musk, another do-boy for Elon Musk. So it fits, you know. I'm not excited about this prospect because the damage has been done, much like the post office. I don't know if you've noticed how much destruction Louis DeJoy has committed on the last few years, but once he's gone and once he's ousted, the damage is done. And unless the next person that comes in with the mandate to repair and to restore Twitter, the post office, it's honestly just saying, job well done, Elon. You did exactly what you were supposed to do, which was to come in, use your obscene amount of wealth, your ill-gotten gains to destroy one of the most effective communication tools and reporting tools and organizing tools in the history of humanity, because of our ability to get information in real time. And so him stepping down is basically going to be a pat on the back. Good job, because he did exactly what conservatives, white supremacists, what they needed him to do, to give them yet another unfair advantage because they are totally incapable of competing in a meritocracy or a democracy. Or it very well could have been the board of Tesla saying to ditch Twitter or we'll ditch you because of how much damage Elon Musk has done to Tesla. Either way it goes, we can guarantee that Elon Musk is not going to do anything unless it satisfies his ego or benefits his bottom line. Let's take this quick break.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and get twice the content and unfiltered interviews without any of the commercial interruptions.
And here we go. Very special welcome to our two newest patrons. Welcome to Sarah K. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. And Jessica him. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. You too can become a part of this prestigious and prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/the BPD show. Whoa, wait a minute. Where you get access to twice the content, none of the commercial interruptions, and you get an invitation to our bi-weekly patron party, which, if I'm not mistaken, we have one coming up this week. Go to patreon.com/the BPD show to support the show and become a part of the patron family, and we'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I want to lean in a little bit more here on the theocratic fascist, which is a very specific thing, but it's also a broad category so that you can understand the desire that these religious, the theocrats, zealots have. Their desire is to overthrow democracy, to install their religious dogma as rule of law through the force of law and through the force of violence. That's the fascist part. The theocratic fascists. I want to turn to one in particular by the name of Frank Pavone. And I'll be reading from the BBC. I'll also have a clip of him in a moment so that you can hear him in his own words as he pushes back against the Vatican. The Vatican has defrocked a U.S.-based priest for blasphemous social media posts and activism in support of former President Donald Trump. A letter to U.S. bishops from the Vatican's U.S. ambassador accused the priest, Frank Pavone, of persistent disobedience. In 2016, Mr. Pavone, who heads the anti-abortion group Priests for Life, put an aborted fetus on an altar and broadcast it online. His defrocking cannot be appealed. Defrocking is the process of being reduced to a lay state in which clerical status is taken away from a priest. It is amongst the harshest sanctions available in the Catholic Church canon law. Mr. Pavone has been an outspoken anti-abortion and pro-Trump activist for more than a decade, setting the stage for repeated clashes with church officials in various dioceses. He frequently comments on U.S. politics through his social media platforms. After the 2020 election, for example, the diocese condemned Mr. Pavone's use of social media to call into question the results of the 2020 election, which Mr. Trump lost, saying that his political positions weren't consistent with Catholic teachings. In a statement accompanying the letter announcing his defrocking, which was first obtained by the Catholic news agency, Archbishop Christophe Pierre, Vatican's ambassador to the U.S., wrote that Mr. Pavone had multiple opportunities to submit himself to the authority of his diocesan bishop. It was determined that Father Pavone had no reasonable justification for his actions, the statement said. On Twitter, Mr. Pavone, who now lives in Florida, remained defiant and vowed to continue his anti-abortion activism. Additionally, he remains an ardent supporter of Mr. Trump. Now, I haven't followed this Frank Pavone guy, so I don't know all the things that he's done to break the rules of the Catholic Church. I do have a problem, but I'm sure there's plenty of other bishops and priests who absolutely need the same punishment, not only for political reasons, but for the obvious, right? I really want to make sure that they're coming down on all their priests who are involved in all of these things. But I won't do a whataboutism, especially I won't do a whataboutism that might even tangentially support this Frank Pavone guy who took an aborted fetus and put it on the altar and broadcast it on social media, right? I just want to make sure no one mistakes what I'm getting ready to say as any kind of support for this man. But I want to be sure about something. The Catholic Church hierarchical structure, they're not good guys in this either, right? It's just that they finally said enough of this one extremist, right? They're trying to catch their extremist before that extremist puts their tax exempt status in trouble, okay? And there are plenty of other instances of priests who should have been defrocked a long time ago, not just because of their bad politics, but also because of their pedophilic predilections. OK, So I want to make sure the Catholic Church, they are not the good guys in this story. They just went to get one of their political extremists that was going to get them in trouble. Listen to Frank Pavone as he retorts.
In our ministry, I personally, we are amping it up. We are turning up the volume now. It's all out war. And it's not just war on the unborn. It's the cancel culture. It's war on supporters of pro-life candidates, including President Trump. Many of you are Trump supporters, as am I. But any pro-life candidate is going to face this backlash. It's war against them. It's war against the family. It's war against marriage. It's war against our children. It's the indoctrination of our children with all sorts of nonsense about sexuality, all sorts of nonsense about America being an evil and racist country. It's critical race theory. This is war. This is about us. There will be no silencing of our message in the political arena. There are some in the church, Cardinal McElroy, pay attention, who are simply spouting Democrat talking points. Knock it off, okay? Knock it off. They're just spouting Democrat talking points. And then they complain to us that we're spouting Republican talking points.
But Pastor, you are. I mean, you literally just ran down a grocery list of Republican talking points, from your transphobia to your anti-wokeness to your anti-critical race theory to your pro-MAGA, pro-Trump support. I mean, you sound like you're a politician running for office. And his language of this is about war on us. He's talking about filling kids' heads with craziness like America's a racist nation. I'm sorry. Have you been paying attention whatsoever, Pastor, or have you been so busy hunting down the next aborted fetus for your next broadcast that you haven't been able to see the racism in this country? He has a grocery list of Republican talking points and then gets mad when the church calls him out and says that you sound like a Republican preaching from the pulpit. Now, here's the thing. I am not a fan of the hierarchical nature of any institution, especially the Catholic Church. But to be honest with you, Frank Pavone sounds like a pretty mild-mannered Republican evangelical right now. I mean, in terms of the threat that theocratic fascism poses to this country, he sounds like he's just one of the many. He's just one of the many religious zealots who feel like they have it's a war, right? That's what he said several times. He feels like they are engaged in a war in which they have to ensure that anyone who does not live according to their biblical doctrine is not able to get power in this country, not able to vote in this country. And to be quite frank with you, many of them would like to see us put in jail or killed. Let's not forget those pastors out of Houston. Was it Dawes was his last name? The one that advocated for the murder of people who are gay just because they're gay. So, I don't know all this guy's activism. I don't know if there's video of him out here saying that he wanted to, that gay people should be executed. But as it pertains to this religious cult of zealots who honestly are in line right now to do everything they can to overthrow democracy, Frank Pavone just reminds me of any regular old white evangelical pastor you could go listen to on a Sunday morning. And so this is what I think of when I see so much energy put into January 6th and Donald Trump specifically, right? Donald Trump was not the creator of the problems that we have right now. Like Frank Pavone said, he's been doing this for 30 years. He probably listened to Rush Limbaugh during that time, because I'm thinking Rush was on for 30 years before he died. Right? These are people who have been trying their best to ensure that we get no further progress in this country, and they've been doing it. They've been doing it since, Franklin Roosevelt. Like, these people have hated every step of the way any progress that has been given to black people, that has been earned by black people, that has been earned by women, that has been earned by every marginalized group in this nation. There have been religious zealots standing in the way, trying to make sure that we go back to the past. That's my time. Patrons, stay tuned for the second half. If you want access to it, go to patreon.com/the BPD show. If not, I'll see you tomorrow.